It's been a long journey home for one Montgomery County family as they fought for more than 4 years to adopt their daughter from Ethiopia.
Tom and Whitney Blaszak were put off, lied to, even stolen from. But finally, the newest member of their family is home. WSLS 10's Bethany Teague has their story.
It's the moment she thought would never arrive.
It's like my wedding day, like happy, excited, nervous, anxious, elated.
Oh, there he is. Tears, laughter, unbridled childlike excitement. Whitney Blaszak is about to become a mommy once again.
I don't even have words for it. It's just a miracle.
But Whitney is not giving birth in a hospital bed surrounded by her 3 daughters, Sydney, KK, and Taylor. Instead, these 4 are waiting on pins and needles in the Roanoke airport for husband Tom to bring home the newest member of their family all the way from Ethiopia, 10-year-old Teague.
That is the moment that I have really not let myself think about and dream about.
Tom and Whitney have learned over time to be guarded about this day, but it wasn't always like that.
Nothing seemed too big.
In 2012, the couple flew to Ethiopia for the first time on a mission trip. Adoption was the last thing on their minds. That was until an unassuming 6-year-old named Teague walked in with a smile that unexpectedly captured their hearts.
Then she just came over to me and climbed up on my lap, and we were just singing. And of course, she didn't speak our language, but she just stole my heart immediately.
The Blaszaks began to ask questions. They learned both of Teague's parents were dead. She was living in a village called Cora. It's made up mostly of societal outcasts who survive in a trash dump, a place where death and decay is all too familiar.
We learned a little bit more about her situation, and really it was so desperate.
A situation contrasted by her wide smile, her endless kisses, and the sweet music of her laughter. To them, she was irresistible. Tom and Whitney knew they wanted to act, but how? All they knew was that when it came time to kiss goodbye, their hearts hurt.
She said to us, "When are you coming back?" And right there, we kind of knew that we had to do something.
It was then they decided they would come back, but the couple was scared, unsure if they would return to the same connection they once shared with the young orphan.
Is she even gonna remember me? Did I make all this up in my head?
The couple would find out 2 years later.
She sees everybody and she's like looking through the crowd and just like makes a beeline to me and jumps in my arms. I remember just closing my eyes and feeling like I was hugging Sydney, like it was my daughter in my arms.
Their hearts were unshakably bound. But as these hopeful parents would soon discover, bringing Teague home as their legal daughter would not be so easy. The Ethiopian adoption process would be one full of pitfalls.
We had been burned by a lot of people that we thought we could trust.
The Blaszaks teamed up with their first of what would be 3 adoption agencies. They expected to have Teague home in a few months. Until they had official custody, they weren't allowed to put out her real name. So they called her Hope for the time being. Little did they know just how much hope they would need.
Our first agency said they would work with us, and then they changed their mind. And
a year later.
That agency told Tom that if another family met the requirements more quickly than his family did, they would give Teague away to someone else.
And we just said, that's not going to work.
Desperate, that's when the Blaszaks turned to their second agency, International Adoption Guides.
They gave us the hope, and they said, oh, we can definitely help with this.
That was until the family learned the terrible truth about this agency. International Adoption Guides turned out to be a scam.
That agency was indicted for fraud, for basically child trafficking.
Federal court documents reveal IAG spent at least 5 years bribing Ethiopian leaders to illegally take children from their birth families for adoption by Americans who thought they were getting orphans. They falsified documents, targeted deaf children, used personal bank accounts to avoid payment detection, and even got adopting parents to sometimes deliver bribes if they could keep it quiet.
We were mad, and it took, questioning everything and questioning God.
The Blaszaks had given IAG $8,000. That agency grossed about $1 million a year thanks to its fraud. But when the agency was exposed, the Blaszaks lost everything.
We were crying. It was horrible. I never want to have to do that again or feel that again.
Bewildered, brokenhearted, and beaten down, the Blaszaks were told all U.S. adoptions from Ethiopia had been shut down because of the scandal, with no assurance it would ever reopen. But Whitney wasn't ready to give up yet.
It felt like we just left Sydney in the trash dump. People told me that I couldn't get to her. I would say, nothing is going to stop me.
The Blaszaks chronicled their journey to bring hope home on a blog called Relentless Love. In the meantime, they felt they were surviving as an incomplete family, one day at a time.
We would just have a daughter in Ethiopia, and that's how we would live.
For 2 more agonizing years, they longed for hope, their name for Teaguist, clinging to every picture, every video, every sound they had from her half a world away.
Yes.
In the midst of every joyful family moment back home, their hearts broke, believing their other daughter was growing older without them, and they couldn't tell her why.
I think about her a lot at bedtime, when we're tucking the girls in.
A bed they had set up for Hope remained empty night after painstaking night.
I felt like I couldn't fully enjoy everything because we were always missing her.
But true to their motto, these parents' love was relentless.
We cry and we pray and we hope and we keep trying.
The fight continued. The fundraising pressed on. Support from family and friends poured in while the Blaszaks worked through yet a 3rd agency to bring Hope home. Then, after 4 years and 2 months, the call came through.
I just think I lost my mind and I started jumping around like a fool.
They had been given the coveted green light. It was time for Tom to go get their girl. It was a simple hug that changed their lives a world away. And now a hug to start their lives together. A meeting 4 years in the making.
KK, look. Still can't believe it. I think I'm just going to stare at her for the rest of my life.
She's a different color. She's in a different country, a different culture, doesn't speak my language, but yet that laughter, that enjoyment is still the same.
A family made whole by unwavering faith.
We had been lied to, we had been stolen from, we had trusted people we shouldn't, but we knew that God was faithful.
Relentless love.
You love Teaguist?
And of course,
Finally.
a whole lot of hope.
Wow. And if you're wondering, Teaguist is fitting in just fine with her family. These are pictures from her first night at home. Those are precious.
That is a very inspiring story.
Such an inspiring story. It's just so amazing to see that. The whole family come together. I'm sorry, I just get so touched by that.
Well, this was a local couple that just wouldn't take no for an answer, and they just kept plugging and proceeding, and now that little girl's going to live a much better life.
It's incredible to see just how, like they said, relentless, because how many people would actually continue to fight?
That's right. So, and the family's going to have a better life too.